Hi, and welcome to the Phins podcast, the podcast that gets you closer to the game than the sheds. I'm Mitch, and if you bleed red, white, and gold, you're in the right place. Every week, right off the back of the game day, we're breaking down everything Dolphins, what clicked, what didn't, and everything in between. No fluff, no filter, just real talk about our boys from Ready. So whether you caught the game live, watched it back, or you're relying on us to tell you what happened, strap in, because we're fanatics here. This is Fins Up. Let's get into it.
Hey, Phins fans. It's a good win. We had a good win over the Dragons. Look, it's a bit closer than what I would expected. It was 28-22. The Dragons actually, showed up. Probably wasn't helped that we made a fair few amount of errors. But we get the 2 points, so that's really what we came for. Still, only winning by 6 is against the Dragons is probably not really where we'd want to be coming at this stage of the game. So a couple of the Dragons tries were on the last tackle, like the 5th tackle option. So their first try and their second try were just 5th tackle. Didn't put in a kick, and they just our wingers came in. So let's run through some of the things that stood out so far this week. The big one, Izzy Katoa back in the team, with number 22 on his back, but playing in the halves. I'll be honest, I think if Katoa doesn't play, I don't know if we win this one, because the execution that Katoa had compared to Schneider was just a completely different level. And you could really see it, especially the 5th tackle kicks. Katoa put in a few where, we were kicking from, midway through the field, so halfway, and he was landing them within the Dragons' 10s. And if you know anything over the last few weeks, now what I've been critical of Schneider for has been the 5th tackle options, and his kicks just don't make enough ground. Katoa was back. The Dolphins get the first try through a nice little bit of play. Connolly breaks through the line, gets a flick pass, and then essentially Hammer just sprints the rest of the field. Well, it probably like 30 meters out. This was, and it was a good try. The Dragons actually get the next 2 tries. However, in between this, there's actually a Selwyn Cobbo goes for a try that gets overruled. But in between there's a missed opportunity. Katoa passes the ball to Cody Nikorima. It goes slightly behind him, and he drops it. But it looks like that would have been a good passage of play if we made that. And then Herbie stripped the ball, and again didn't really execute towards the end of those sets. And then Cobbo went over for a try. And what was interesting about this one is initially the ref sent it up as a try, but then as soon as the bunker got involved, the camera seemed like it didn't have enough frames, because there was probably a 5 centimeter jump between the frames. Like, the image before showed the ball up, and then the next image was the ball, 5 centimeters towards the ground. So I don't know what particular cameras they had, but it kind of seems like with the NRL having all of this money and they've put $5 billion into this new TV rights thing, it feels like whoever has the rights to the game is required, or should be required, to have a minimum particular set of camera equipment and a particular amount of angles, because the bunker's not going anywhere. So that means if the bunker, is indefinitely here to stay, we need cameras that will cover all these angles, because from that particular angle and that particular shot, it seemed like that there was a lack of technology in the particular cameras themselves. Like other games I've seen, the cameras have the ability to, they're shooting at a higher frame rate. They have the slow motion frames that they can actually slow it down and show the small amounts of movements between when the ball is up and when it gets grounded. So yeah, it was just it just showed a lack of technology available, and I don't know if that's particularly for the ground themselves. Like, it's not. I don't think it's Win Stadium's fault. What I would probably say it is probably the camera equipment that they took out to that game was not the same level of equipment that they potentially take to or keep closer to a stadium in the city centre. Um, but yeah, if we're putting $5 billion into TV rights and stuff, there should be a set level of expectation of quality and a set level of expectation of technology equipment. So now that little uh, rant and tangent's over, we'll get back to the flow of the night. Jeremy Marshall King had a few errors to start the game off. He stripped at a ball that didn't need to be stripped at. It was like on the Dragons 30, it was like third tackle. He stripped at the ball, gave them an easy penalty, and marched them downfield. And then he threw a forward pass in our own half. Just simple things that we can't be making as we're coming into the end of this year. It was good to see Katoa back. Obviously, he must have felt that he was good to play, because I was kind of half on the fence. And I said this at the end of the last game, was if Katoa is back for this Dragons game, it'll be coming back to get him, essentially like a tune-up game, get him ready to go into the next few weeks. If he was off tonight and then was expected to come back and put in an amazing performance against the Broncos next week, it may have been a bit of a crumbling point. So I see this game as a bit of a confidence booster, not only for him, but for the team. Get him back in, build the combination again with Cody, get it going on the ball. Tom Flegler came up with a try throughout the game. He put in some big hits too. The next try we saw was Bostock bumping off a few players, and then he finds Selwyn Cobbo essentially sprinting through the middle of the field. He pops off this nice little offload, Bostock to Selwyn Cobbo, and Cobbo just sprints upfield. Commentators are, essentially saying that he kind of looks like Greg Inglis. I've probably been saying that, a lot of people have said that, Latrell Mitchell is the, next Greg Inglis kind of style, but I completely disagree. I feel like Selwyn is probably more the Greg Inglis build. So yeah, Selwyn scores this try, and Jermaine Asako has a rare miss. It's his only conversion he misses for this night. Then you can just see how much difference Katoa was making at this particular point in the game. Fifth tackle kicks, as I said, landing in the opposition 10. This particular set, as I was kind of jotting down these notes, was Dragon was playing the fifth ball, their fifth tackle on their 40. Instead of the last few weeks where Schneider's been kicking it and they were playing it in our half and get the opportunity to put in an attacking kick. It was a completely different style and speed of the game that Katoa was playing it at. He just has this ability to speed up and slow down, and the players react around him accordingly. So it was awesome to watch him come back and really just settle back into the groove. It's at this point of the game, I take a note here that there's a call that the ball gets stripped from Bostock, but at this whole point, Bostock still has his arms on the ball, but the ref calls it in favour of the Dragons. And then because Bostock is hanging on to it, saying that, he's got the ball, the ref calls a penalty against Bostock, and then Bostock asks to challenge it, but the ref says, no, you're not allowed to. And I'm sitting there going, since when can't you challenge a call that the ref has made? And the excuse was, this ref is a young ref, blah, blah, blah. It's like, I don't care. That's when the bunker gets in his ears and goes, mate, he's allowed to challenge. But his excuse was that you can't you can't challenge a slowing of the ruck call. But I'm like, but you blew the penalty, and he's not actually challenging the slow of the ruck call. He's challenging whether the ball was stripped or not. Considering, there's plenty of tries and stuff that they can go back, 2 minutes before the try was scored just to see something was offside or, a player was, out of the play. Like the other night I saw the Roosters game. The Roosters scored a try. I think Sam Walker scored a try, but one of the players was out of the play because he was in front of the play the ball. So if they can go back on those particular things, I don't know why. Yeah, in this case, you can't challenge the strip call, but yeah, there wasn't too many bad calls this night, but that was the one that really stood out to me. Was just like, okay, this ref has no idea what he's thinking. Um, there wasn't a clear strip one-on-one from the Dragons player. It was actually still a jostle, and because Bostock originally had the ball, it would go the way of the attacker who originally had the ball. There's not a clear possession either way. So yeah, at this stage, Josh Kerr, a former Dolphins player, comes on for the Dragons, and yeah, the boys kind of get into him. He drops the ball. He tries to do a short play to, from dummy half and short pass to him, right on our try line, and he drops the ball. So the boys are getting him into a bit. So it was good fun. But Kurt Donahue comes on around this stage too. And yeah, he looks so sharp. He's playing his 50th game last night. So yeah, a great accolade to bring up. And he makes this clean break through the field. And then, yeah, that leads to Ray Stone getting over for a meat pie. So, yeah, it was a great run up field. Herbie with the assist to Ray Stone. And, yeah, Ray Stone's just the man on the spot at that particular point. He's near the ruck. Herbie just has his arm free, pops the ball up to Stone, and he just, scores the try. So, yeah, that really leads us into the end of the first half. There's a couple of more kicks that Katoa puts in, land about 5 meters out. The Dragons only make 25 meters in that set, so they're playing the ball on the fifth tackle on their 30 to 40 meter line. It's just a complete night and day difference. The second half doesn't really start how the Dolphins would want. Gilbert comes up with an error. It looks like the sticky spray is a bit too sticky. There's no real opposition to Herbie offloading the ball either at this point. Like, he's just offloading at will. At this point, Val Holmes from the Dragons comes up with a giant brain fade. He makes a break up field and throws this, big speculator pass, but it pretty much just goes forward. Like, there's no one there to catch it, and then it just rolls forward. And he just, I don't know what he was thinking, but yeah. At this point as well, the commentary team we're stuck with, unfortunately, on KO is Jake Duke and Luke Keary. They're the same guys that several weeks ago they commentated the game against the Tigers, and they were horrible in that one. They're probably the worst commentary in all of this sport. But the reason I say that is it's a clear shoulder charge from one of the Dragons bench players, and then the treatment on the ground. And then Luke Keary says that, the Dragons player has a right to be upset at Gilbert. And it's like, that makes no sense. Like, this, the player from the Dragons came in with a shoulder charge. So Gilbert got a bit upset that he came in with a shoulder charge, and then, brings Gilbert to the ground, starts rubbing his face in the ground with his elbow, like elbow to the face. And yeah, Gilbert gets up all antsy, but yeah, the commentary team say, oh, the Dragons player has a right to be upset. And it's like, I don't know what you're watching, but last time I checked, if you come in with a shoulder charge, that's, foul play, and it's also, a penalty any day of the week. So the ref gave a penalty for the ground treatment, but yeah, missed the shoulder charge completely. There was a high tackle from Gutherson on Cooley, which honestly, I don't think, if Gutherson doesn't make that high tackle, I think Cooley probably nearly scores. So yeah, it was just, it was it was at this particular point that you could really hear that the commentary were just, they were so in it for Dragons to win. And when Gutherson does this high tackle against Cooley, Luke Keary again says, "Oh well, Gutherson was just going for the ball." It's like, I didn't know that Cooley ran with the ball on his head. Like, how can you say you're going for the ball if you hit a guy in the head? Like, that doesn't make sense to me. So yeah, it was just another clear example. Jake Duke and Luke Keary, yeah, definitely the worst sports commentary in the whole world. Yeah, we're really like at this particular point, we're trying so hard to score a try on our left hand side. We barely actually even play to the right most of this game. We go there maybe once in every 2 or 3 sets. But yeah, everything is left attack. And I think that's we've watched film against the Dragons play, and maybe we see a defensive weakness on their right hand side wing defense, because the amount of times we actually go there is quite insane. But yeah, there's several attempts. It doesn't really pay off. Then the ref gives an offside penalty to the Dragons to get them out of the end. Then Kurt Donahue comes up with a big hit. The ball just pops out, and after this, Hobbo scores on the left-hand side. So we finally cracked the left-hand side defense through a set play. And it's just brilliant breakdown of the defense by Katoa and Nikorima. Katoa digs into the line more. Passes the ball very quickly from Cody to Herbie. Herbie then essentially starts to go towards the line, draws in the winger, and passes out to Cobbo. Whereas what we were trying to do for most of the other sets that was unsuccessful was we were trying to get Cobbo early ball. It was just leaving Setu 2 on the wing time to make a decision. And once we kind of figured out that all we need to do is draw in Setu for the threat of Herbie going over, then Cobbo had essentially a free wing to open it up. So it was good. Then Tom Flegler comes up with a meat pie for his own. He essentially stuck his hand out. The ball gets to the line. The lead up to this was actually the Dragons supporters are quite upset at this stage, because the Dragons make a breakdown at our left side, and as the Dragons go to pass the ball out towards their wing, Katoa hits it, and it very clearly he bats it back towards the Dolphins, dead in goal. Being that they're about 40 meters out from their try line, bats it towards their own goal line, and very clearly goes back. Katoa plays to the whistle and just goes downfield. We make a nice couple of sets while the Dragons trying to get back on side, and then Flegler just barrels his way over, reaches his hand out. Initially, it looks like it's grounded short, and then it looks like he loses it. But very clearly on the cameras and the replay, he gets the ball to the line. So good try there. As it's showing the replay of Katoa knocking it back, the Dragons fans are all having a whinge. At this stage, we get a high tackle from Jeremy Marshall-King. I don't even think there was any high contact in the tackle at all. The Dragons player was actually, kind of falling at the same time. But I think Jeremy Marshall-King actually catches him with his arms. I don't even think there's any high contact at all. At that particular point, they then drop the ball, and there's about 5 minutes left at this stage, and we lead 28-16. A couple of minutes later, the Dragons break through for a try to Josh Kerr. Then Ryan Couchman. So Josh Kerr breaks through and then offloads to Ryan Couchman. And this is about 2.5 minutes left. And then there's just this anticlimactic ending. The Dragons go up for a kick, and they catch it. There's like 2 minutes of back and forth running around, passing the ball. And then this is where it gets called back, ages ago before the play eventually breaks down. and it shows that the Dragons player was offside. So yeah, in the end, we then get the ball, get it down the other end of the field, and yeah, there's like 3 seconds left on the clock, and yeah, they don't even bother. Really playing from that point on. So yeah, all in all, it's a pretty good game. It was fairly well even between the two teams. I'd say we definitely made too many errors. So if I look at the error count, we made 13 to their 9. So yeah, just something that we cannot do. We have to get better at that. The errors seemed like Cobbo had soap on his boots or something. Like he kept slipping over. He looked like he had his ankles strapped pretty heavily. So I don't know if some of the strapping tape was affecting his tags. Because he was slipping over like crazy. He could barely get out into full speed except for that one try. So, but yeah, in the end, it was closer than I'd like for a victory, but it is 2 points regardless. And like I said, I think if Schneider plays, I don't feel like we win. It was just I think we really needed Katoa tonight. His play options were a lot better than what I had seen Schneider provide over the last few weeks. And yeah, bring on Brisbane. That's going to be an awesome game. I'll be there in my normal seats. I'll be right down the front row. It's going to be good fun. Hopefully we stay injury free. It looked like Kurt Donahue came off a bit earlier than what he was supposed to. It looks like he was complaining about a knee or a calf or something, an ankle. Hopefully he's okay. And we'll really need our best game next week to make sure we win that Battle of Brisbane, because our record is not that good. So until then, I'll catch you in the next one.
And that's a wrap on another episode of Phins Up. If you enjoyed the breakdown, do us a favour and hit subscribe. Drop us a review and share it with a fellow Dolphins fan. It genuinely helps more than you'd think. Do you have a hot take? Do you think we got it wrong? Discuss with us on our social media page at Phins Up Podcast. We'd love to hear from you. We'll be back after the next game with a full breakdown, so make sure you subscribe so you don't miss it. Until then, stay loud, stay proud, and keep those fins up.